Kenyan forces pull out from 2 military bases in Somalia. U.S. presidential candidates woo Iowa voters ahead of the first caucus of 2016. And the chilly trend that's making a big splash on social media. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. We begin in Central Africa, where suicide bombers attacked a town in northern Cameroon on Monday, killing at least 32 people and wounding more than 60. The massacre was one of the worst in recent memory as the country struggles to contain violence blamed on Nigeria's Boko Haram terrorist group. The Cameroonian military used helicopters to evacuate the injured from the bombing scene to hospitals in the city of Marua. A state-owned radio and local officials say 4 explosions were triggered mid-morning at a busy market and entrances to the town of Bodo, which borders the Islamist insurgency strongholds in northern eastern Nigeria. A local official says the attackers slipped into the area under the cover of seasonal dusty northeasterly winds. There was no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Well, in Rwanda, a man who had been accused of recruiting for the Islamic State was shot and killed in Kigali. Police say he was attempting to escape police custody. Muhammad Muge Managango, a deputy imam at the Kamironko Mosque, was under investigation for encouraging Rwandan youth to join the Islamic State. The country's main Muslim association, Rwanda Muslims, says it plans to circulate messages condemning radicalization to all of Rwanda's mosques. Now, Al-Shabaab militants claim they have taken control of a base in southern Somalia's town of El Ade that had been attacked by the terrorist group. The facility is one of 2 camps abandoned earlier by Kenyan troops. The Kenyan troops, part of an African Union force in Somalia, suffered heavy losses when Al-Shabaab launched a dawn raid on the camp near the Kenyan border on January the 15th. David Obonya, spokesman for the Kenyan Defense Forces, says the troops had vacated the camp and were now stationed nearby. Al-Shabaab says it had killed more than 100 soldiers in the attack. Newspaper pictures of coffins draped with Kenyan flags have increased the pressure on Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta and his military chiefs. For insight into Kenya's operation in Somalia, Simiyu Warunga, a retired Kenyan Defense Forces captain and security analyst, joins me on the phone from Nairobi. Captain Warunga, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, brother.
Now, as this news come in, some people feel like perhaps this is a sign of things to come, that perhaps the Kenyan troops are starting to withdraw from Somalia. What do you make of this?
One, I think we must understand that Kenya is in Somalia under AMISOM. So any decision that will be made for them to withdraw from Somalia must be made by AMISOM, that is AU. So therefore, I think for now we've not had anything from the African Union because that decision must be made. If Kenya decides to pull out unilaterally, then that will be going against the tenets of what AMISOM is all about. What I think, yes?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I think is what the military is doing is, one, I think because of the shock and the devastation that occurred in that camp, they are deploying themselves. And 2, I think they're also trying to do what we call taking a tactical pause to look at what happened, deal with that after effect, and then maybe decide how to move forward. But I don't think this should be seen as a way of Kenya pulling out of Somalia.
But Captain Warunga, some would say, isn't it a major setback given that Al-Shabaab says it's now reclaiming the territory left behind by the Kenyan troops?
From a strategic point, I totally agree. That is a major setback for the Kenyan Defense Forces, for Kenya as a country, because the fact that you have pulled out, even if you are deploying, and the same forces you are there fighting to finish, takes over the camp that you have vacated, it has a moral, psychological effect even on the troops. I'm hoping that the fact that they have redeployed, they should now put in mechanisms to ensure that the next level of the fighting between the Kenyan military and Al-Shabaab should be so devastating to Al-Shabaab that this propaganda they are using now should not be let to stay.
Captain, do you get the sense that the Kenyan leadership is feeling the pressure from the citizens who feel, and it feels like it's a majority, that Kenyan troops should actually get out of Somalia.
Yes, the Kenyan population basically are saying, get our boys back to Kenya. But I think from those who understand policy issues, the geopolitics of the region, and those who understand the national strategic interests of Kenya as a country, I think if we pull out today, it will be a devastating defeat. Actually, it will be a retreat for a country that has been doing very well in Somalia. And therefore, I think from a national perspective, it will have a major political dimension if we pulled out today. But yes, the pressure is there from the Kenyan people because they are looking within the internal mechanism of why we should have these people there, not considering that this is not just a political decision, it's also a geopolitical decision, it's a military strategic decision.
Very quickly, Captain, is this strategy, whatever strategy that is being employed in Somalia by AMISOM, appearing to be a winning strategy?
I don't think so, and this is my personal opinion, because one, you realize that even what happened at the Kenyan camp, it is the Kenya Defense Forces that send reinforcements. It is the Kenya Defense Forces that send their airplanes to go and bombard the areas they suspected Al-Shabaab to be. And therefore, if countries were not making unilateral decisions to back up their own troops, I think AMISOM, to my understanding, has not achieved much, because we continue having the same problems in Mogadishu, we continue having the same problems in areas where Kenya has occupied, and therefore, to me, as African Union, they must sit back, look at their strategy, and determine how they want to move forward.
Indeed, and we continue watching the developments. Dear Captain Warunga, thank you very much. Retired Captain Simi Warunga is a Nairobi-based security analyst. Not too far from there, Congo's Republic's ruling party has officially nominated incumbent President Denis Sassou Nguesso as its candidate for the election in March. This brings the veteran leader one step closer to extending his decades-long rule. He has ruled the oil-rich Congo for 31 of the past 36 years in two separate stretches. The decision to back his candidacy is generally viewed as little more than a formality by members of the Central Committee of Nguesso's Congolese Party of Labour. Opposition parties boycotted October's constitutional referendum, during which security forces placed some party leaders under house arrest and fired on anti-government protesters, killing at least 4 people. Tunisian Prime Minister Habib Essid is pleading for patience following a week of violent nationwide protests. But young people in Kasserine, where the protests started, demonstrated in the streets again on Monday. VOA's Mariama Diallo reports that protesters are demanding the government provide jobs, education and social services.
Jobs, freedom and national dignity, the protesters chanted in front of the municipality building in Kasserine. They say the rights of the city's citizens, especially the poor, must be respected.
I ask the Prime Minister to stop giving us false promises.
We want you to consider the demands we gave. It's our right. Don't hire sons of officials and leave people in need. We want you to hire people in need. No to bribery, no to corruption, and no to tyranny.
The protesters also rejected vandalism.
We do not want to create a mess. We just want to work. That's all.
Heavily armed soldiers watched calmly as chants for better living conditions for the youth of Kasserine continued.
We are a youth destroyed by drugs and medication. We cannot stand this situation anymore. Young people in Siliana, Sahel, and Tunis, they all got what they wanted. But us young people of Kasserine, who won the revolution, they did not do anything for us.
Tunisian Prime Minister Habib Essid has pleaded for patience. About 1/3 of the nation's youth is without work, and nationwide the unemployment rate stands at around 15%. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
Well, French President François Hollande vowed to hit back hard at the Islamic State during a visit Monday to India. His remarks were in response to the latest video from the terrorist group showing footage of the 9 militants who took part in last November's Paris attacks. Viewers Jeff Swikard has more.
French President François Hollande told journalists Monday in New Delhi the Islamic State was provoking France in the worst possible manner. These odious provocations amplify our resolutions, which are also mine, he said, to protect the French people through the decisions that I have taken and confirmed, but also strike and strike again this organization that threatens us and kills our children, said Hollande. Hollande was reacting to questions about a video published Sunday by the Islamic State that apparently shows the last statements of 9 attackers who took part in the November 13th Paris attacks. The video also featured news images taken around Paris during the attacks that killed 130 people. There was also gruesome video of some of the attackers beheading IS hostages before the Paris assault, probably somewhere in Iraq or Syria. Hollande is on a 3-day visit to India to discuss security cooperation with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi after the deadly November Paris attacks that recalled the 2008 terrorist attacks in Mumbai. Jeff Swikard, VOA News, Washington.
Well, now turning to the European migration crisis, Germany is tightening its migration laws in response to the huge numbers of people arriving on its border, with several Balkan states now designated as safe countries to deport failed asylum seekers. Henry Ridgewell has a report.
Across Germany, former military barracks, relics of the country's recent history, are being converted to cope with its 21st century crisis. This compound near Stuttgart houses 200 asylum seekers from 25 different countries. Gambor is from Bosnia, recently designated as a safe country by the German government, meaning it's less likely he'll gain asylum.
Das ist ein Land für mich, keine Land. Gib keine Land.
It is not safe there. It is not safe for my family. It is not safe for my children.
Von meine Kinder leben ein Risiko.
Amir is from Kosovo, another country recently designated as safe.
Ich bin mein Bruder tot. Meine Vater tot.
My brother is dead. My father is dead. Both were killed. I escaped Kosovo with my children, with my wife. If we were still in Kosovo, we would be killed.
Ich bin sorry in Kosovo. Ich bin Jan sorry in Kosovo, Familie meine. Ich bin totales.
Local authorities do not discriminate against any nationality. The refugees' fate is decided in asylum tribunals.
New refugee housing is being built on the edge of town, designed to house 160 refugees. But not everyone here approves. This site was attacked by arsonists in December, putting the project back by several months.
The local mayor deplores the attacks and says Europe must share the burden.
What we need definitely is a consistent immigration policy, which we do not have at the moment as Deutschland, as Germany. And it also needs, of course, a discussion over the item of the frontiers, the European frontiers. At the moment, what we realize is that Europe falls apart.
Europe is hardening its stance. Germany is tightening asylum laws. The EU is developing a beefed-up border force. But Schwäbisch Gmünd's regional lawmaker, a member of German Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats party, says Europe has a moral duty to help.
Wir sollten bereit sein, alle auf der Welt, die in der Lage sind.
We should be ready to, all of us in the world who are able to, take in people who are in need.
Eine Grundvoraussetzung des Miteinanders in dieser Gesellschaft.
Pavel says there has been growing hostility to migrants since the attacks on hundreds of women in Cologne on New Year's Eve. Several of the suspects are recent migrants to Germany.
Ich denke, die allgemeine Stimmung hat sich etwas verschlechtert. Ich stelle aber nach wie vor fest,
the general atmosphere has worsened. Half the population really supports this welcoming culture. They simply want to help. And the other half are simply scared.
Die einfach helfen will und die andere Hälfte, die einfach Angst hat.
In Schwäbisch Gmünd, local authorities insist the best response is to integrate the migrants as quickly as possible. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, Schwäbisch Gmünd in southern Germany.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54 and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vincent Makori. Well, coming up, U.S. presidential candidates woo voters in the state of Iowa as the caucus nears. Stay with us.
There was action outside the debate hall.
Political season is about to change, too.
VOA News, Las Vegas.
With just 1 week before the Iowa caucuses marks the beginning of the U.S. presidential election process, both Republican and Democratic candidates are rallying for voter support. VOA's Zlatica Hoke has more, including the possibility of a new candidate joining the race for the White House.
Trump has held a steady lead in the Republican race, despite controversial statements, offensive remarks, and what many consider insufficient knowledge of current and foreign affairs. His front-runner status has led him to brag that he is unstoppable.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters.
One reason for his popularity is Trump's tough stance on illegal immigrants.
With the economy what it is in this country, we can't afford to give our jobs away to people that are here and not willing to go through the process of coming legally.
Despite his braggadocio, Trump acknowledged that a win in Iowa is important.
It's crunch time, folks. I mean, I want to win Iowa. I want to really win it.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz lags behind Trump by more than 10%, but hopes he can make a difference in Iowa.
If we stand as we, the people, then we will restore that last best hope for mankind. That shining city on a hill. That is the United States of America.
On the Democratic side, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders appears to be gaining support that is matching Hillary Clinton's in some places. He enjoys a lot of support among young voters who are tired of politics as usual.
They want this country to move in a new direction. They want to be part of a political revolution.
Sanders has criticized the growing income inequality in the United States and the influence of money on politics.
He is not funded by big companies. He's funded by private donors. Hillary Clinton is a Democrat, but she also likes playing the game. She's funded by all these companies, so I'm not for that as much.
Reports from New York say that city's former mayor, Michael Bloomberg, may join the presidential race if Sanders becomes a threat to Clinton. The billionaire, listed as one of the world's richest people, says he would fund his own campaign and run as an independent. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Well, a new security report from Cisco reveals that businesses worldwide are continuing to face cybersecurity attacks, while some of the protection policies in place to prevent them are failing to keep up. As VOA's Ramon Taylor reports from New York, an increase in demand for sophisticated cyber skills is creating many new jobs.
Cybersecurity criminals are more sophisticated, bold, and resilient than ever, according to a new study by U.S. computer networking company Cisco, which revealed major flaws in businesses' attempts to thwart and recover from attacks. Among the shortcomings, Cisco found a 10% drop in up-to-date security infrastructure reported by organizations over the course of a year. The company analyzed 115,000 devices. 92% were running software with known vulnerabilities. Cisco principal engineer Jason Brevenik told VOA via Skype that attackers will target anybody.
They've got an entire ecosystem that they're able to leverage. And it doesn't matter if they're attacking a person for a cyber ransom or a business. What they do is they find out what they can leverage and then they use it.
He says that as defenders move toward more continuous analytics models, they're able to more quickly detect an attack and outsource instant responses.
Numerically, we see that as an industry, it's a 100 to 200 day estimate for the detection of a breach. But more modern technologies, as people deploy them, are able to push that number down into the matter of hours.
The fight against cybercrime has opened a largely untapped job market for cybersecurity practitioners, which Forbes reports is expected to grow from $75 billion in 2015 to $170 billion by 2020. Tara Sinclair, chief economist of Indeed, a global job site company based in the U.S., says employer security concerns have led to a large increase in demand for trained professionals in the field.
They're definitely concerned about their businesses. They're concerned about having employees that are protective of their property and making sure that they're not going to be attacked.
Globally, Cisco has estimated there are 1 million unfilled jobs in cybersecurity. Symantec, the world's largest security software vendor, expects this gap to grow to 1.5 million by 2019. Ramon Taylor, VOA News, New York.
Well, in Kenya, a new information technology platform is helping low-income earners get the kind of affordable health insurance that was once available to the middle class and the affluent. It's giving residents in the poor Nairobi neighborhood of Kibera access to much-needed health care through their mobile devices. So far, 10,000 Kibera residents are using the technology. Here's Lenny Ruvaga.
It's early in the morning in Kibera, and Winnie Manga is preparing to go to work. The mother of 6 has a tailoring business where she makes about $30 a month, barely enough to meet her basic needs. But a mobile device known as M-TIBA allows Manga to save $1 a month for healthcare. She downloads an app on her phone that sets up a savings account she uses to pay her health costs. She says this has enabled her family to get medical treatment that was once viewed as a luxury.
Inasaidia kwa hizi hospitali ndogo ndogo ya bei nafuu, lakini kwa hospitali kubwa inachaji pesa mingi.
It helps a lot in the local health facilities around here, but in big hospitals the charges are exorbitant and one can't afford it. When my grandson was sick, I would have been charged quite a lot, but since I had been saving for a while, I got the medicines at a reduced price. And they were quality drugs, too.
The so-called M-TIBA mobile health wallet allows registered users to save money for healthcare services at various registered clinics for an affordable cost. Dr. Stanley Simiyu has been treating patients at his clinic for 4 years. He says since the adoption of the platform, more Kibera residents are coming to the clinic, though he acknowledges there are some limitations.
Sometimes patients will come and they don't have enough money in the wallet, and that calls for a top-up for them. And also some of the patients could walk in and they're not able actually to use the cell phone well, so you have to get in and start training them again on how to start.
M-TIBA partnered with CarePay and PharmAccess to develop the health wallet. And so far, 10,000 people are using the technology. Kees van Led of M-TIBA says access to healthcare is a right for all.
We want to make healthcare truly inclusive for all Kenyans. Right now in Kenya, only 2% of the population has comprehensive health insurance. More than 1 million Kenyans end up in poverty every year because of health-related expenses, and we want to stop that.
Some 2,000 health facilities nationwide have signed on to M-TIBA's Health Wallet program. Lenny Ruvaga for VOA News, Nairobi, Kenya.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, a blizzard provides an opportunity for fitness buffs to indulge in the latest social media craze. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Cameroon, the death toll reached 32 people when suicide bombers detonated at a market in the northern part of the country, a region often targeted by Boko Haram. In South Sudan, the UN calls for $1.3 billion in aid to provide vital assistance after 2 years of conflict. In Congo, President Denis Sassou Nguesso announces he will run for a third term in March. In Burkina Faso, hundreds of people take to the streets of Ouagadougou to pay homage to victims of recent jihadist attack. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Snow swimming? Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Competitive and amateur swimmers took the plunge this weekend during the blizzard of 2016, which provided ideal conditions for snow swimming. People posted videos on social media of swimmers launching themselves into the soft powder. This amateur video obtained by the Associated Press shows a Washington, D.C. resident, Simone Shi, practicing in a snow bank. Players of snow covered the East Coast, where in some areas it reached 40 inches. For those who are snowbound and prefer to remain indoors, there is always a beloved childhood pastime to fall back on. Coloring has grown up and is becoming more social. Now it's the adults who are picking up the colored pencils. The top 10 New York Times bestsellers in the games and activities category are all coloring in books. With a surge in popularity, adult coloring programs have bloomed across the United States. Art therapists have long known about the benefits of coloring. They say it's accessible to all and helps ease stress. And finally, Mark Zuckerberg and his new baby Maxima are getting along just swimmingly. The Facebook founder and CEO posted a new photo of his 2-month-old baby girl serenely floating in what appears to be a lake as a billionaire daddy holds her lightly behind her head. He captioned the photo Max's first swim. She loves it. The post has so far received over 2 million likes and over 52,000 comments. Since Max was born, Zuckerberg, who took 2 months off for paternity leave, and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan, haven't been shy about sharing pictures of the little girl on, where else? Facebook. And that is what is trending today. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com for more news. Tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching from all of us in Washington. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. A breeze is a light wind. What do you think this American idiom means?
Shoot the breeze.
Is this about hunting air?
I'm going to the beach with my friends. I'm so excited to just hang out and shoot the breeze.
Sounds like a great plan. Nothing beats relaxing on the beach and shooting the breeze with good friends.
This expression comes from the Old West, when cowboys would fire their guns in the air at nothing, just for fun. These days, shooting the breeze actually has nothing to do with shooting guns. If you say you are shooting the breeze, you are talking about things that are not very deep or important. And that's English in a Minute.